Most people think they're broke because they don't earn enough. That's the story we're told. Work harder, get promoted, ask for a raise. Everything will fall into place. But here's the uncomfortable truth. For millions of people, doing everything right is exactly what keeps them stuck. Not lazy, not reckless, not bad with money, just trapped. This is the salary trap, and it's not an accident. Right now, this matters more than ever, because wages are rising on paper, but life is getting more expensive in reality. Rent, food, insurance, transportation. Each year, they quietly move faster than your paycheck, and the system smiles while it happens. Let me tell you a simple story. Imagine two people starting life at the same time. Same city, same age, same intelligence. Person A gets a stable job, salary, benefits, a sense of relief. Person B struggles at first, irregular income, uncertainty. 10 years later, Person A feels exhausted but responsible. Person B looks chaotic but oddly flexible. Here's the twist. Person A followed the plan perfectly, and that plan slowly closed every exit. The salary trap doesn't feel like a trap at first. It feels like safety. A monthly paycheck is predictable. Your bills get paid. You can plan your life in 30-day cycles. That's the first hook. Because once your life is built around a fixed income, everything else adjusts upward to meet it. Your rent doesn't stay cheap forever. Your car payment grows. Your lifestyle inflates just enough to consume what you earn. Not because you're irresponsible, but because the system assumes you will be. Banks love salaried workers. Landlords prefer them. Subscription services depend on them. Predictable income makes you predictable debt. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Let's talk numbers. Simple ones. If you earn $3,000 a month and save 10%, that's $300. Sounds responsible. But inflation quietly eats 3 to 5% of your purchasing power every year. Taxes take another chunk before you even see your money. And raises. They usually lag behind inflation, not beat it. So even when your salary goes up, your financial position often doesn't. It's like running on a treadmill that speeds up slightly every year. You're moving, you're sweating, but the scenery never changes. And no one tells you the treadmill is designed that way. The real trap isn't the salary itself, it's dependency. Once your survival depends on a single source of income, your risk tolerance collapses. You can't leave easily. You can't experiment. You can't pause. Every decision becomes defensive. You don't ask, is this the best use of my time? You ask, can I afford to lose this paycheck? That question changes everything. Now here's the irony. The people who take the least financial risk often carry the most long-term risk, because a salary feels stable until it isn't. Layoffs don't announce themselves years in advance. Industries don't collapse politely. Automation doesn't ask for permission. But your expenses don't disappear when your job does. The system encourages you to lock in fixed costs, rent, loans, obligations, while your income remains fragile. That's not freedom. That's leverage, just not in your favor. And let's address the hype. You're told the solution is climbing higher. Get a better job. Earn more. Sometimes that works, but often, higher income just unlocks higher expectations. Better apartment, better car, more pressure, less time. The trap simply gets more comfortable. And comfort is dangerous, because comfort delays awareness. The math stays uncomfortable no matter how high the salary goes. If your income stops tomorrow, how long can you last? 3 months? 6? That's the real measure of wealth, not income. Time. Most salaried workers aren't poor. They're just time poor. They rent out their future in monthly blocks, 40 hours at a time, sometimes more. And the strange part is, the better you perform, the more time gets taken. Meetings multiply, emails follow you home. Weekends become light work days. The system doesn't just buy your labor, it slowly buys your attention. That's why burnout is so common now, not because people are weak, but because the model assumes infinite energy from a finite human. And here's a quiet detail almost no one talks about. Your salary is not tied to value, it's tied to replacement cost. You are paid not for how much value you create, but for how expensive it would be to replace you. That's why wages flatten over time, and why loyalty is rarely rewarded. From the system's perspective, you're an expense to be controlled, not an asset to be multiplied. This is where the illusion breaks. People think the system rewards effort. It doesn't. It rewards predictability. Show up on time. Repeat yesterday. Don't rock the structure. Innovation is celebrated in speeches and punished in practice. Now think about this. If salaries were truly about freedom, why does almost every financial rule you're taught depend on them continuing forever? Mortgages assume 30 years of stability. Retirement plans assume decades of uninterrupted income. Insurance assumes compliance. One disruption and the math collapses. That's not resilience, that's fragility dressed as responsibility. And yet, this model is sold as adulthood. Here's the deeper risk. When your entire identity is tied to your job, losing it doesn't just hurt financially, it erases your sense of direction. That's why people stay longer than they should. That's why bad jobs survive. Fear fills the gaps logic should occupy. Now, zoom out one last time. Technology is accelerating. AI doesn't need salaries. Platforms don't offer pensions. Automation doesn't negotiate raises. But fixed expenses still exist, which means the old promise, trade time for money and you'll be safe, is quietly expiring. No announcement, no alarm, just slower progress, higher stress, and less margin for error. So when people say, just be grateful you have a job, what they're really saying is, don't question the structure. Because once enough people do, the system has to adapt. And systems hate adapting. So here's the final question to sit with. If time is the real currency, and you're spending almost all of it just to maintain your position, who's actually getting richer? And more importantly, at what point does stability stop being safety and start being a cage?